Welcome to my first live. I'm Misty Blue Arts. My name is Misty Lemons. I'm a watercolor artist. I also sculpt in polymer clay and draw digitally. I do lots of things. As you can see behind me, all of my art. Uh, yeah, so a little nervous. But yeah, this is my first live stream here on Substack. I've gone live before on TikTok and YouTube, and I'm no longer on TikTok, but I am still on YouTube. And I thought it would be fun to try and go live here and just see how it goes. But I don't know about y'all, with the holidays and just with everything that's going on, it seems really stressful right now, right? So I thought it would be nice to come in here and just have like some lo-fi music going and paint and some watercolors, just something, chill and relaxing. And this is something that has helped me. I have anxiety. I suffer from anxiety. And so there have been times where like I can't sleep, my mind is racing, my heart is palpitating, and I'm just like, what am I going to do with myself? And I've come in here into my studio and just painted circles, watercolor circles, or bubbles, whichever you prefer to call them. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do today. And let me check something real quick. Okay. I was just checking my notifications. Something was on it, but it's okay. All right, so this is the watercolor paper that I've got. It's called Fabriano. Really good watercolor paper. It was recommended to me by an artist who has been like a painter for over like I think it was around 50 years, and I've been an artist for pretty much my whole life, but like professionally for like the past 20 years. So I was using like Strathmore watercolor paper, which is a good paper and I highly recommend it. And I still use that. But this is just the paper I'm using today. And it's very smooth on both sides. So I don't really think it matters what side that you use. On the Strathmore watercolor paper, you can tell that there's like ridges on one side and smooth on the other. So either way. And this is the paint that I have. So this is just a little watercolor tray here that I've had for a few years now. I'd gotten it on Amazon, and I think it was less than $10, but it's really beautiful paint. I really like it, and so that's what I use. Alright. So I've got some lo-fi music going. It's pretty quiet. I don't know if you can hear it. I like to paint with some music going and just kind of, really chill and relaxed. So I'm listening to Spotify right now, and this playlist is called Stream Beats by Harris Heller, and evidently it's something that's put together by this particular artist or a person who just puts together this music that's okay to live stream. So, if you live stream, maybe this is something that you could use as well. I don't like gatekeeping stuff. If I know something and I know that it works, I like to share it with people. I was thinking about using this brush, but it's kind of big. So let me look, see what else I've got. All right, so I'm thinking I'm going to use this brush. This is a Royal and Langnickel. I want to say it's a size, it's either 6 or 8. It's rubbed off. I've used it so much, but yeah. All right. And then I have this little spray bottle here that I just like to wet my tray with. You don't have to do that, but it's just something that I do sometimes and it helps. All right, so let's get going. I know you can't see very, very well what I'm doing, but I like having this, right? I don't like having you're just looking at what I'm doing, which is fine sometimes, but for this kind of thing where I'm trying to get to know everybody, I like this. I feel like you're here with me, I'm there with you. I really like that. So I got my water here in my cup. It's a little blackburn jelly. I just thought it was cute. So that's what I use most of the time for my water. And to just get started, just going to pick a color. Why not start bold? I think I'll start with a purple. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a wet on wet. That's what I'll do. All right, so I'm going to come in here. So the screen's flipped, and that's really throwing me off. But yeah. All right, so I'll just start. Where am I? Okay. All right, so I'll just start down here. And I'm just going to paint a circle. And yeah, there's a little paint on my brush. I didn't really thoroughly clean it, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to start with a circle down here. And then I'm going to get my paint and add it to the water. And you just see how it kind of just flows and spreads out. It's one thing I really like about watercolor is how it'll do that. It's fun. It's really cool. A little unpredictable. But that's part of the fun of it. And like I was saying, these colors are super vibrant. And I really like this paint palette. It's affordable and the colors are always amazing. They never disappoint. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry. What I'm going to do is I think I'll have like some darker colors and then I'll do some lighter. And then I think I'm going to try and overlap, which is something I haven't done before. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just like draw another circle in water and have it like connect so the water just flows into the paint flows into that next circle. So that's something else that you could do. But I wanted to try something a little different today. And another thing that you could do is you could rinse your brush and you can actually pick up some of that paint, some of that pigment that you put down. You rinse it some more. You come back in there and get more picked up. So if you do watercolors, I don't want you to get scared or intimidated by it. There are things that you can do to fix it. Like I said, if the pigment is too dark, you can just come up in here and pick up that paint. So see, it's lightened quite a bit. And now I should be able to overlap other circles or bubbles over top of it. It's kind of cool that this does like it flips the screen automatically because TikTok didn't do it, YouTube didn't do it. So like over here you see my word create, that would be backwards. So I'm having to really get used to this, but it's cool because you can see it how you're supposed to be seeing it, which is really cool. I guess I should be talking about who I am and what I do and stuff. So, yeah. Mm. See, I didn't come in with a plan because I just wanted it to be, free flowing, relaxing, peaceful, and just kind of just vibes. So let me think. Um, well, I'm technically an award-winning artist. I say technically, but it's true. I am an award-winning artist. I won the state fair in 2019, State Fair of Texas, with llama painted rock. That was really cool. I've won some other awards, first place in like a photography competition and other art competitions in the state fair. I won like second and third place, things like that. So I've won several awards. So that's cool. That's always cool. And always exciting and almost unexpected. Like you don't expect to win. You're like, I'll give it a try. And then when you win, you're like, what? It's so cool. It's so cool. I don't enter competitions all the time, but yeah, like the state fair, I'll enter like every other year or every couple of years. I didn't enter this past year, but maybe next year. We'll see. The previous year I did enter as an expert, like, yeah, pretty much an expert. And I didn't know that I would be up against artists who had been artists for like 50 years and had gone to art school and things like that. So, it was a very tight competition. And yeah. So yeah, that was like, whoa, very eye opening. All right. So I'm gonna just place some more water circles wherever. And you'll see that I'm kind of doing this to try and see where the light is reflecting off of the bubble, off of the circle. This will help me see where I'm putting the water. Okay, so I did purple. Maybe I'll do like a pink. See how this goes. Hopefully it won't be too dark of a pink. No, it's not too bad. Yeah, sometimes I'm a little heavy-handed with the paint, and that's something I'm still, trying to dial back. But that's something I keep telling myself too, is that art is a practice. It's not so much a destination. It's not so much, like an end all be all, like this is it. It's a continual practice, and you're always trying to do better and grow your skills. So that's me. Yeah, and it helps too, like when you're getting like in your own head about things and just, getting down on yourself for, maybe not being where you want to be. Um, you have to go in with like a growth mindset that you're constantly growing and striving and, you know, learning, learning, definitely learning. There we go. Some of those songs are too loud, some of those songs are too quiet. All right, so let's see. I'll do a green color this time. I don't want my brush that great, but that's okay. This is like a stress relief. Like I was saying earlier, is I get anxious sometimes, and at night I can't sleep, and it's just too much. So I'll come in here and I'll just paint these circles, and by the time the page is full, I feel so much better. I feel lighter. I feel like I can breathe again. My heart settled down, and I can go to sleep. So that's just something to keep in mind if you suffer from anxiety too. This is something that you can do. And you don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be, like a seasoned artist. It's something I think anyone can do and benefit from. Let's see about adding some green. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I would go live like twice a week on YouTube, and a couple times a week or more even on TikTok. TikTok just made it like super easy to go live. And I really liked that, people could tip you right there in the app. Chris, hello, welcome. So good to see you. But yeah, TikTok made it pretty easy to go live. So I really enjoyed going live on TikTok. And, people could tip and everything, and that was always nice. They would do like little graphics across the screen when you got a tip, and that was fun. Right, so we're gonna let that dry. And then we'll come in and overlap these bubbles with more bubbles. And the cool thing about watercolor is like it's transparent, so you'll be able to see the different layers of bubbles. How are you doing today, Chris? I hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for joining. I'm working on a stress relief watercolor painting right now. So we're just going to fill up the page with all these bubbles and just kind of hang out. And just introducing myself. This is my first Substack live. So I have chronic illnesses. There's something else about me. I have psoriatic arthritis, which is not fun. It's painful and can affect everything, not just skin, but like your organs and even your eyes, just everything. And it's really painful when I have a flare up. And I have macular degeneration. I'm only 45, so I have like early onset macular, which is not fun. I haven't had any of the symptoms yet, thank God, knock on wood. But maybe at some point I will, which is not going to be good because, I'm an artist and I love to paint. And seeing things, you know, is important to everyone. But for me, it's like seeing is life. Seeing colors is life. So I'm going to do all I can to save my eyesight. And then in 2011, I had thyroid nodules. So I had like 2 lemon-sized nodules on my thyroid. Very painful. And so I had those removed. And at that time, they recommended getting your thyroid removed too. So they did that. So I'm fully dependent on medication now to replace those thyroid hormones, which sucks. But the nodules haven't come back, obviously, because there's nothing to come back to. But at that time, they had found I had thyroid cancer. And so that was jarring. And yeah. So, I paint to like cope with all those symptoms that I have. And then also, I have childhood trauma. I was abused as a kid. Um, my father was like a narcissist. I say like, but he most likely was a narcissist. And I was the family scapegoat. And it was a rough friggin' childhood. And I've always just turned to art to feel better and process my feelings and thoughts. Because, as a kid, they told me to suppress my feelings and like my feelings weren't valid and things like that. And so turning to art, like, kind of just was a natural thing for me. And it's helped me throughout my whole life. And so now I just, I continue to use art to heal through that and to cope and everything. And I love it. Art has like changed my life. I've gotten to do some really cool things and meet some really cool people because of the art that I make. So I wouldn't change that. It sucks everything I've had to go through, but I wouldn't change the art aspect of it for sure. But I hope everyone had a really happy Thanksgiving break. If you're still on it, I hope you're enjoying it. I don't really consider, that I celebrate Thanksgiving, given everything that has happened, in the world. But, you know, the not good connotations or things that happened with Thanksgiving. So I kind of just take it as, a time to reflect and everything. Give me just a second. I want to make sure that I'll be right back. Well, just check. Okay. It was saying somebody was at my front door, so I'm just gonna have my son check. We're expecting somebody. All right. So here we go. And some people will tape their paper down, and that's something you can definitely do. But I don't do that very often. I like to keep it loose so I can turn it around, and it makes things easier when I go to paint. But I have taped it down before, and it is helpful sometimes. Just depends on, what you want to do. Yeah, I would go to the park and paint watercolor. With that. So my mom passed away in 2022, and I would go paint in the park to help like process that grief and to like build my own self-esteem and confidence, that I could do things by myself and not rely on someone. I wanted to do that for myself. And so I did that for over 6 months. I didn't go every day for 6 months, but I would go, maybe once a week, couple times a week, and do that. And that helped so much. I would go live on TikTok, and I built like this whole community doing that. It was really nice. Met lots of really cool people. But I painted every day for 6 months. So I wouldn't go to the park every day, but I would paint every day for 6 months. And most of those times I would paint, 3 to 5 paintings a day. So I've got like a huge stack of like watercolors that I've done. But that really helped me progress my skills. And it also really helped with the grief and everything that I was going through. That's just where we're at so far. We're getting there. Yeah, and you can change up the size of your bubbles. They don't have to be uniform. You can do whatever size you want. You can have big and small or just all big. It's really up to you and what you want to do. This is typically the size I do when I'm going to paint circles. Let's do it blue, I think. Yeah, there we go. Wow. We went to my in-laws for their Thanksgiving that they do. So they had a Cajun turkey this year, which, doesn't sound like a terrible idea. And it was delicious. It was very delicious, but it just was too spicy. It was too spicy. But it was good. But we had a really good Thanksgiving. It was really nice to just be with the family. My father-in-law had gotten a back surgery like the week before, and he's 81, so that's like a big deal. But he was like bone on bone on his spine, so he was in so much pain and he could hardly move, and so he really needed this surgery. and he had it done, and he's still, recuperating from that. So everyone's been kind of, stressed and tense and worried about him and everything, on top of everything else, that's going on in the world and in our lives, right? It's been a lot. It's been a heck of a year. Like, I stepped away from doing my lives on YouTube, and earlier in the year, I actually left Facebook, and I left Instagram, and I left TikTok. Like, just everything that's been going on. I know I keep saying that, but they changed up their like terms of service and how, they will handle people's art and their work and everything like that. And I didn't agree with that. And then just other things that they did I didn't agree with. So I left, and now I'm just on Substack and YouTube. But it's been so much better. Like, the quality of life has improved so much because I'm not focused on doom scrolling. I'm not, focused on this negative news that's boom, boom, boom in your face constantly. And, Substack, my feed was starting to kind of look like that because I care. I do care. And, I want to stay aware, but it was starting to get to be, again, like bam, 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 all this news in my face. And so I've made it a point to start scrolling for like nature pictures, like mushrooms that are growing in, the Pacific Northwest and things like that. And it's really helped. But yeah, just the change in platforms has been a huge difference. Like, I'm able to focus more on my art and my business and, trying to grow it and do the things I need to do to make it better. Because, it's not so much just that the platform's gone and I'm not scrolling, but it's just that I have that focus now, that want, because I feel mentally healthier, right? I feel better. So I'm able to do more and focus more on the things that I want to do and like to do. So yeah, just taking that change, that helped a lot. And then just taking the time to take a break from doing lives has really helped. Because I was going from TikTok lives where you get like the tips and the really good interactions with people. And that was really great. I built like a really awesome community over there. And so it was really hard to walk away from that, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. And so I've had to just start all over again with YouTube and Substack. And the thing with YouTube is you get so many rude people in the comments, and that's not fun. It's very draining mentally and emotionally, and you try to let it bounce off you and stuff, but it does affect you. It just does. And so I was like, I have to take a break from this. And I'd heard that Substack lives are much more chill and welcoming and friendly and understanding. So I was like, I'm going to give it a try. Yeah, I just started Substack maybe a couple months ago. I haven't been on here very long, but it has been very chill over here, which has been nice. So far, I haven't had any issues. Yeah, I was posting like once a week, sometimes twice a week here, just because I was so used to posting so much on other platforms. And so I came over here and it was just like, go, 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 go. And I had to realize that, I don't have to do that here. I can dial it back and chill out and relax, just breathe. Was the biggest thing. And it's been just tremendous, big help. Yeah, and I'm not writing every week now. I've got several posts all scheduled up until February. So I've got several posts ready to go. I'm only going to be doing my post maybe once, twice a month, and be doing notes and lives in between. So it should be a lot better, less physically demanding and mentally and emotionally demanding. So much better for creativity. Mm, so what color? So we'll do a teal kind. We haven't done that yet. We'll do that. There we go. First, it's really dark. Yeah, and if you want your water to come out clear when you're doing this, you might want to have two different cups. So, like a rinse cup and then a cup for clean water. I don't typically paint like that 'cause it doesn't really bother me too much. It's never been too much of an issue, but some people do that. So I'm just putting that out there. And then I got a new desk, which I'm really happy about. All right, so you can see this is like what my desk looks like now. It's just this kind of orangey kind of wood, which I've never been crazy about. But when I got this desk, I really needed one. I needed a small, compact desk. And when this came along, and I took the chance, I took it because I needed it. Because when I first had my studio going in here, I had it on like one of those foldable tables that you would like take. You can use them for like buffets at weddings, or events, that kind of thing. Like it's a table I would actually go and set up like booths with with my art. And that's what I was in here working on. And I'm like, well, this isn't great. So I needed this desk. And I just found another desk on like Marketplace the other day. Um, my husband has Facebook still. And on Marketplace, I found this desk that was like a light gray. And that's okay, but I really want to do white. So I'm sanding it down. I'm going to take it down, and get it to where I can paint it. And I'm thinking I'm going to get like a white chalk paint. So it'll be like a nice finish when I get done with it. And it'll help reflect the light too. I really need that since my eyesight's not the best. To have more light in here would be ideal. So I'm looking forward to that. My husband, he works on weekends now, and so it's been harder for me to get that done. Like I want his help on it, that kind of deal. Like I don't exactly need his help. I can do it myself, but I just want his help on it. But yeah, my plan is to have it done before my birthday, which is the end of next month, which is coming up really quick. Yeah, I'm going to be turning 46 next month. It's so funny. I went to an art meetup. It's like it's like in a different town. It's not where I live. And a really good group of people. I really like going. And I'd gone, like I hadn't been in a while. And so I went and everyone was like so happy to see me, and like it was so nice. Like I felt so welcomed, and it was just like, I don't know, I almost felt like a rock star. It was so cool how everybody was that night. It was amazing. It was a really, really fun night. And anyways, everyone's talking about ages and stuff. And I'm like, I'm 45. And everyone was like, the room fell silent and everyone was like, what? I thought you were in your 20s. It's like, no, I have a son that's 21. I'm 45. And they were like completely blown away by that. It was so cool and funny. And it made me feel great. Like I said, I felt like a rock star that night. It was really fun. Yeah, and at these art meetups, they uh they encourage you to bring art to work on, but I'm very much a solitary kind of person when it comes to my art. I'm used to doing it alone or, I'll do it on these lives, but yeah, I'm not used to doing that around people. Not even my family. Like I'll do this stuff in here or whatever alone, not with a person nearby or anything watching. So it's very foreign to me, and I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to. I need to go to socialize because with chronic illnesses and trauma and stuff, I don't get out a whole lot. And so when I do get out, I want to socialize. And so I always feel like the odd person out because everyone's doing their own little thing. And I'm sitting there with my iPad just doodling something I don't even want to doodle because I just would rather be chatting with everybody. And I know you can do both, but for me, I'm very kind of focused on what I'm doing. Like I had to really learn to talk and do these lives when I'm creating. I really had to push through that. And I guess I could do that there too, but I just don't want to. I just want to socialize. It's like I've come to hang out, people. So I'll just kind of doodle or just sit there and flip through my pictures that I've created on my iPad. I have a lot. I've had this iPad since like 2019 and I have a ton of work on it. So I'll just flip through and look at my stuff and decide if I want to work on anything I've already worked on, maybe make something new out of it. That doesn't usually happen. I just sit there and just like, okay. I'd rather be just chilling out, hanging out. Alright, so this is where we're at so far. We've almost got the page covered. So yay. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I hope you're having a great weekend. And I really hope you are enjoying your holiday. Thank you so much for hanging out and listening to me ramble. I know I can just go on sometimes. But isn't that kind of the point of this? Like, I think you'd be bored if I was just sitting here quietly. Like, this is chill and relaxing, too, but not so much to the point where you're, like, bored. I hope. Anyways, I hope. Alright. Let's see what other color. Maybe do, no. Yeah, maybe I'll do a green. But yeah, like, I feel like this being my first Substack live, I should try and get as much information about me as possible in it. And I know that's probably, like, too much, like I'm just like forcing it maybe, but I don't know. I'm not sure how often I'll be able to get to do these, and just wanted to share a bit about who I am and what I'm about. Well, I'm about human rights. I believe in human rights, women's rights, um, that kind of thing, animal rights. That said, I'm not a vegan, but I do believe in animal rights, right? I do care about animals. And what else? The environment. I care about the environment. Like, I remember when I was a kid, they drilled into us how important it was to save the rainforest and to reduce, reuse, and recycle and all of that. And I do that. I do reuse, I do recycle, I do all that. And I hope it helps. I'm definitely trying. I'm definitely trying to make the world a better place. I want to leave it better than I found it, which is so hard these days because it's like bananas out there right now. But I'm doing what I can in my little corner here with my art, with my activism, you know, and just showing up as myself, right? I don't want to come in here like a car salesman. Like, I didn't really know. Okay. So, my first ever YouTube video, I didn't know how to act or be. Like, I felt like I had to be on. And my son recognized that pretty quickly. And he was like, Mom, just talk to the camera like you're talking to a friend or to me. And it actually helped a lot. And it just that switch flipped, and it made such a huge difference to me. And so that's like it's almost natural now that I do that. And I'm just so grateful that he did that for me because, on my own I was really struggling. I'm not saying like my videos were horrible. I was obviously learning, and it was, I was a beginner and everything. But yeah, just that little tip made all of the difference. Yeah, I went to this other artist meetup, and it's actually local in my town. So it's not the one I usually go to. And I went to it, and there was a lady there, and she's done pretty well for herself, right? She's carved her own little corner in the world, and she's starting to make a living with her art and everything. But she's like, I just don't understand YouTube. And she's like, I just got a YouTube channel. And she's like, I don't really know what to do. And so I was like, hey, if you ever need any advice or you have any questions, just let me know. I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I've been on here a while. I've been on here a few years now. I've just recently gotten um, over the 1,000 mark for subscribers. So I'm now at 1,200, which is awesome. And it was getting to this point where I was like, I wasn't sure I was ever going to get there because it was just so slow going. And like I said, it's all been just this huge learning process and just a steep learning curve for me. But, I kind of am feeling like I'm kind of getting the hang of it now, at least enough. But, if you wait until you're ready, you're never going to be ready. And if you wait till you know everything, you're going to be waiting a good while. You're never going to just know everything. So just go for it. It's what you want to do. You're not hurting anybody, right? With whatever it is, just go for it. You've only got the one life, and I know you're gonna hear that or have heard that from other people that like the YOLO stuff, but it's true as far as I know, right? So just go for it. Like one of the biggest things I've noticed in my own life with friends that I've had, like I cut my hair short. I've been doing that since 2011, before my thyroid was taken out, and I've been living that way for a while now, right? I like my hair short. I never liked my hair long. I have like fine hair follicles, so they just want to lay flat. Anytime I get like any length, they just go flat. There's no volume whatsoever. And so short hair gave me like an actual style to work with, which was really nice. And the women that, I came across in my life, so friends and acquaintances, they would always be like, "Oh my god, I love your hair. I really want short hair, but I'm too scared to do it. I can't do it." And I'm just like, "That's so sad. That's sad to me." Like, just you've only got the one life. Why not try it? And it's just hair at the end of the day. I know we put so much of our identity in our hair as women, as females, but at the end of the day, if it's something you really want to do, just go for it. Your hair will grow back out. It should, right? It should. So just go for it. All right, so this is where we're at. We already have some of these circles here already dry. So this is where I'm going to try something different. I've not done this before, and I'm kind of excited because it's going to be, like I said, just different and new. And so, yeah, I'm going to take some paint. I'm going to do more bubbles, and I'm just going to go over the dry ones. And since watercolor is transparent, you'll be able to see the bubble underneath too. And I'm hoping it'll like bring out some cool patterns. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, so I did all these in one, similar size. And so I'm thinking of just maybe doing smaller ones, maybe larger ones, and just see how it goes. So just kind of mixing it up. And I'll have to see which ones are dry, which ones are wet. So these are the ones I think I can work with right now. And then these other guys are going to have to dry. All right, so for these, I did the wet on wet technique. So you wet the paper with water, and then you put your wet paintbrush that you dipped in paint into that, and it's the wet on wet technique. So this is the wet on dry. So you have the wet paintbrush, the dry paper. And I'm thinking of doing that instead of doing the wet on wet because I don't want to dilute these other circles. So I'm thinking that this is probably the way to go. We'll see. Like I said, I'm still feeling like watercolor is a practice. I'm constantly learning and figuring things out. All right, so then we got purple here. What color could I use? Maybe a pink. So I hit pink here. We'll try this technique on this one and just see how it goes. I might have to switch it up to wet on wet. We'll just see. Okay, seems to be working. I don't think I diluted my purple one too much, so yay. All right. So there we go. And they're overlapped now, and you'll be able to see through the pink bubble into the purple bubble. So awesome. All right, so now we got this green here. Color. Maybe I'll do well, I think I'll do a blue. And then we'll do the teal kind of color and see how that goes. And keep in mind, they don't have to be perfect circles. Like, don't beat yourself up if your circle is not like perfect, because that's not the point. The point is to just feel better. Like, I wasn't feeling super anxious today, but I think my body felt pretty tense. And just coming in here and doing this and hanging out with y'all, I'm feeling a little bit better. So, yeah, even if you're not like super anxious, but maybe you're just kind of burned out, maybe a little fried feeling, this could help calm your senses, right? Calm your body down a little bit. Yeah, I felt more anxious yesterday. I should have done this yesterday, but not too bad. No, got those going. I think for this one, I want to do another pink. I'll do a different color pink though. Not exactly the same. All right, not too bad. I might have diluted that orange one a little bit. That's okay. Have some of this color here. Can't believe how vibrant these look on this screen. Like, just straight away, they look super, super vibrant. They actually look more bright than they do, like, to my eyes. So, and they're pretty bright. So for this yellow, maybe I'll do a green. See how lime kind of green goes over the top of this. Yeah, I think one of the best things I ever did for myself was paint for 6 months and, go to the park occasionally and paint. I would just load up my watercolor paints. I have a whole like artist bag and I would just throw them in and just go. Just go. I would go listen to like peaceful, relaxing music on the way there, on the way to the park. And then I'd get there and I would set up and do my live and just paint and chill. And I'm telling you, man, it was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. It made a huge difference. I did feel more confident and, I felt more at peace, being out in nature, painting, and combining it with going live to where I can like process my thoughts and feelings and, vibe with people. It was nice. And I'm really glad I did that. And I'm kind of hoping, bringing that kind of feeling into this too. Yeah. And YouTube, you kind of feel like you have to be on, like just on all the time, constant. And I don't want to, I just don't want to live like that. It's not good for my nervous system, feeling anxious and sad and all of that. And I just don't want to do that anymore. So I'm really grateful for Substack. I'm still going to stick on YouTube for sure, but I think I'll keep my lives over here. If I do go live over there, it won't be, I don't think it'll be very often. But we'll see. Things change. It's not set in stone. but that's what I'm thinking. It's kind of what where my mind's at right now. All right, so this purple one and this blue one here. I think even that green one's dry now. Oh, this one too. So we got a few more now that we can work with. I think I'll do a blue. I haven't done this one. One of the things I've noticed about the Fabriano paper is how workable it is. So, like, you can put your paint on and just keep working with it, and it won't tear up the paper. That's just been my experience with it so far. I've only used it. This is maybe like the third or fourth time I've used it, but I'm pretty impressed with it that way. There's a lot of these papers that you get, especially the cheaper ones. I'm not saying you have to go crazy and get really expensive paper, but you do want to invest in quality paper because the cheaper stuff is just no bueno. It just isn't. So yeah, I recommend the Strathmore watercolor paper, which is a little bit more affordable, and then the Fabriano if you want to do something like you want to get a little fancier with it. But I've made really nice art with just the Strathmore. I'm not gonna like gatekeep watercolor paper here, like, or get snobby with it. I feel like for affordability and quality, Strathmore is the way to go. But the guy who I met, the artist that I met, who'd been painting for over 50 years, he recommends the Fabriano. Yeah, and he'll teach like watercolor classes and stuff. And I've actually thought about taking one of his classes. If I ever get the chance, I might do it. All right. Well, that's kind of cool. All right. All right. Maybe I'll do a green on that one. See how that goes. We're gonna go in this purple one here. Yeah, and what's great about this is, A, stress relief, and then B, when you're done, you have this little piece of artwork that you can frame and hang up. It's kind of like an abstract kind of deal, and you can tell people that you painted that, which is always cool, right? People come into your house and be like, "Oh man, that's pretty neat," and you're like, "I did that." It's always nice being able to do that. This actually reminds me of like a pillow I had when I was a kid. My mom had gotten this pillow, and I guess it was like hand sewn by somebody. I'm not really sure. But the fabric was like watercolor looking. So I think it was a pattern someone had painted, and they transferred it to fabric. But they were layered circles all over, like different shape, not really shapes, but different sizes overlapping, and you could see through them. And I always just thought it was so beautiful. And this kind of reminds me of that. One for sure. I think I'll do a pink on that. That'll be fun. Oh, that's more red than pink. Okay. And if you feel like it's too much of that pigment, remember what I said? Clean your brush and just kind of come in and pick some of that up. Rinse your brush again and get some more of that off. All right, and you kind of just move it around, and it's not as dark as it was. So, yeah. And I think I will go to a pink this time for this green one. But yeah, if you want to paint and you want to grow your skill set, I just highly recommend giving yourself 6 months. Give yourself 6 months, paint every day. Okay. You don't have to paint a masterpiece every day. Just paint a little something, and that'll make all the difference in the world when it comes to growing your skill set. Now those are dry. Well, the yellow one's not. These two are, so I'm going to work on those. Well, I think the yellow is dry down here, so I think I'll put my bubble down here. If you have any color suggestions, like what you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments. And if you have any other, like, requests that you'd like to see in the future, let me know. I do watercolor pet portraits, like in a rainbow style. Um, I've done like flamingos, llamas is a big thing. I don't know if you can see back here, but this here is a llama. She's a like a paper mache sculpture that I did. She's actually made from like a Dr. Pepper bottle, some like newspaper and paper mache type stuff. And her crown, she's wearing a crown, is made from, I think it was like cardboard. So yeah, really cool. And here, right there, is also a watercolor llama that I've done. So you see, I've done like acrylic paintings, I've done, the paper mache sculptures, and I've done clay sculptures, and of course the watercolor. Is that the end of the playlist? Look, why? I guess it was. Well, we'll start it again. But I think, giving your mind something else to focus on, really helps with anxiety. You're doing something creative, you're doing something with your hands, and, your mind, you're not just doom scrolling, you're not looking at one thing. Your eyes are moving around, and I think that helps. I think that really helps. It helps me. All right, so now maybe we'll do like some bigger circles. Fill in some of this white space. I don't want to touch the orange. It's still wet. That's wet. This is wet. So I'm going to have to just get in here and just be careful. Well, maybe I'll do it over here. I think I can connect these two safely. So maybe that. Come over here with a big old circle. It's kind of cool to see the colors underneath come together like that. Neat. So that's pretty cool. Let's see what else we can do. These two are dry, so I think I'll put some color here. The green is dry for sure. So something in there I'm gonna do. Just trying to figure out what colors I want to use. Maybe I could have stuck with that purple. Maybe I could do a pink though. Well, no, you know what? I'm gonna do an orange. Do an orange. See how that goes. And you want to be careful and not set your paint or set your hand in any wet paint because it will smear. And that's not fun. Maybe I'll connect these two with an orange. See how that goes. I definitely want to make it bigger than their size too. Oh yeah, that was a good choice. See the colors coming through really well. Yeah, when I pick colors, I don't just pick like what I think will go well. I also kind of feel it in a way. Like to me, orange is like happy. And like this purple might be more like a kind of relaxed but playful. So, I don't know. Colors to me feel like something, if that makes any sense. But yeah, so I'm not just thinking like what goes good together, but also kind of like how they feel together. And I read the other day that Van Gogh painted like that too. And I thought that was so cool. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. Like, that's always cool to find stuff out like that. All right, so all this is dry here too. And I think I will use a pink on that one. Okay, let's see about connecting them all. Alright, well, the colors kind of bled together, but that's okay. Listen, it's not the end of the world. Just trying something different today and just see how it goes, you know? It's okay if you make mistakes. Watercolor, in a way, can be forgiving, and also you should be forgiving, right? Don't be so hard on yourself. Have fun and try to relax. That's something that watercolors taught me too. Is like, you're learning. It's a process. Don't beat yourself up. That may be a bit more vibrant than I wanted. We will survive. Kind of just fun seeing how this comes together. Just let me give you a little tell. Nope, it was good. Well, I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. I hope y'all subscribe. If you don't, that's okay too. Either way, I just appreciate you hanging out, and I hope you feel better just by hanging out, by watching, and just, spending this time with me. I really hope it helped. Certainly helped me feel better. I didn't even know I was feeling that bad, but I feel much more relaxed. Right? That's fun. I think it's fun. I'm glad I tried something different. You never know if you don't try. Just trying to see where some yellows can live, right? Where they can go, where they might be happy. Okay. If y'all have any questions, something you want to learn about me, any comments, about my art, something you'd like to know or learn about, please feel free to put them in the comments and I'll definitely answer 'em. I feel like yellow is just bringing everything together. It's all happy and yeah, just seems like it's bringing everything together. I like it. Yeah, I just hit like over, I think it was over 500,000 views on YouTube. That also felt like it was never gonna happen. It's just one of those things. It took a long time and a lot of work, and I was just like so happy, like it happened. Yeah, it happened. I think it was last week that happened. Yeah, I've been doing my posts here on Substack, and it's just been, I'm trying to talk about my art and, just what I've been going through with my trauma and how much I've healed over these past few years. I put in a lot of hard work to focus on my healing, and I didn't want to. So my parents, I'm sure that they dealt with generational trauma, and so it's just kicking it down the line, not knowing how to cope or deal with things, and so I didn't have that framework either going forward with my own son. But I did know that I didn't wanna be like my parents. I didn't want to handle things the way that they did. And so I've tried really hard to not be that kind of parent. And just these past few years, um, I decided, to push even harder and work even harder at that growth and healing. Um, so before my mom passed, I had started working on all of that, and then after she passed, I kept working at it. And yeah, so what helped me the most was journaling because it helped me work through what I was thinking and feeling uh, in a way that I hadn't been able to before. Um, Pinterest helped, believe it or not, being able to research and figure out what things were like the narcissistic family dynamic. I didn't even know about narcissists, but my dad fits that to a T. I was the scapegoat, my brother was the golden child, and my mom was the enabler. I didn't have any of those terms. I didn't know anything. But learning about it, each role was like textbook and it just blew my mind. And having that knowledge helped so much. And I'm really thankful and glad that I did that for myself. Um, and for my family because, I've realized, the patterns and what, I needed to heal to, I don't want to say repair, but like, move forward in a healthy way, right? And have better relationships, deeper relationships because of it. So I'm really glad I did that. And art's been there the whole time. Yeah, even as a kid, I would draw. Um, I would do like parrots in the rainforest and hearts with wings and things like that. And even back then, little me was like, you know, I think deep down I knew that something wasn't right, and I needed something to cope and feel better and work through things. And yeah, I'm really glad I did that. I wouldn't say it was easy either. It was definitely a process, but just finding things out. Like I always had the why in my head, like and in my heart, like why? Why did this happen? And to actually have the answers to that was life changing for me in a positive way. Yeah. Like even just trying to get answers from like my dad, that was never gonna happen. And I just I could never figure out why. Like why won't this man tell me why he's doing things that he's doing, right? Calling me names, hitting me. Why? Right? And I know not everybody needs to know the why, but I did. I had to know. And, knowing now that it was never my fault, I never deserved it, that's made a huge difference to me. That the whole thing was on him. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, I just needed to know. And I'm glad I have those answers now because I kept pushing and I never gave up. Yeah, and you wouldn't think Pinterest, right? You're like, yeah, Pinterest, fun little app to like figure out your home decor vibe and maybe even do like some shopping on. But no, if you have the want, it's a great little tool to use for figuring out trauma stuff. At least it was for me. I did get a little bit of therapy too, but most of my healing and growth was, like on my own terms, I guess you could say, because, I continued the search and continued with the inner dialogue, right? And putting that in the journals. And I had my biggest breakthroughs and figuring stuff out just by journaling. Hi, Eric. Welcome. Right, so we're just painting some circles today in watercolor. This is a technique I like to use when I'm stressed out or anxious. Just sitting down with some watercolor paper and paint, um, doing some circles. By the time the page is full, I typically feel better. And I like to share that with people because even if you're not an artist and you feel like you're anxious and struggling, this is something I feel like could help anybody. Okay, I think I'll do some orange. I'm really glad I found Substack. It was recommended to me by another artist um, in the art meetup that I go to. Yeah, she's like, because I told everyone, they're like, we know you're not on Facebook and Instagram anymore, so where are you? And I'm like, well, I'm on YouTube, and that's it. And this artist was like, well, I really think you should try Substack, and I did, and I'm still here. So I'm really glad that she suggested it. Some of this purple is just like sitting on the paper, so I'm gonna try and pick some of this purple up. The brush, if it doesn't work, I might just come in here with a paper towel. We'll see. I think it's working. Alright, so that should dry a little bit more evenly now instead of being just a puddle. Alright. I think I'll go into this teal kind of color. It's dry. How's your weekend going? I hope you're having a good weekend. If you're seeing this any other day than the weekend later down the line, how's your day going today? Doesn't have to be the weekend. Is there something that made you feel anxious this week? And if so, what did you do to feel better? In a healthy way, obviously, but or hopefully, I should say. Is there something that you did that made you feel better? Like, I'll go for like car drives, listening to music. That helps. In the past, journaling has helped me. Obviously, for me, art, huge, huge help. I recommend it to everybody. Even if you don't feel like you're an artist, it doesn't mean you can't create something and feel better. In my opinion, I really feel like you can. So, just throwing that out there. Anyone who's ever wanted to create and then felt like they couldn't, right? Um, you can. Believe me. You don't have to create a masterpiece to gain anything positive. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to do it, and it does help. Just go in with the mindset, that you're trying to feel better. You're not trying to create a masterpiece. You're learning and you're growing. And I think having that mindset makes all the difference. I have to bring my dog in here in the next live. He's not in here right now. He's in the living room with my son. But yeah, I'll have to have him say hi to everybody. People usually get a kick out of that. He's a real he's a character. He's a cutie. I was like having him say hi to everybody. I think it's about time I get a new paint palette. Almost added the yellow and added a lime green. You can tell what colors I've used the most because they're almost gone. But I've had this paint palette for 3 years now, so that's not bad. It's really not. And a lot of the paint is still usable. I just really mainly need those two colors. Right. It's bad. I think this turned out really cute. Another thing that you could do that I like to do is I have these pens here. by Faber-Castell. I think that's how you say it. Could be Faber-Castell, I don't know. But Faber-Castell, these pens work really well with watercolor. They're like a fine liner, so you could come in and do little doodles if you want. That's another fun thing I like to do. I use these to outline some of my art, but also they're just fun to doodle with. So that's another thing that you could keep in mind. So if you're still feeling anxious, everything's filled up, you can just come in here and doodle. Or save it for another day. You could come in and doodle another day. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of hold it like that. I don't want some of the water to run, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Let me turn the camera around if it'll let me, and I'll show you a better view of it. So let's see if we can. Oh, yeah, here we go. So that's what we did today. Just kind of an abstract kind of painting today. And I feel so much better. I hope you feel better too. And I hope you'll consider picking up some watercolor paints yourself. Anytime that you're stressed or burned out, or just feel like your body's all clenched up and your back's in knots, maybe just try some watercolor paints and see if it helps you feel better. Like I said, you don't have to be a professional artist or, you know, strive for perfection. You just go in there with those expectations of growth and healing and feeling better. And I think that'll make all the difference. And I'm about to end this live, but I also wanted to show like a quick like studio kind of tour since we're all getting to know each other here. So let me get you turned around again. All right, so this is some of my art. You see those hearts there? I cut those out of foam on my scroll saw, and then I covered them in drywall joint compound and sanded them smooth and then painted them. So they're like conversation hearts. And you see the big giant disco ball on top. That's an acrylic painting. And each one of those tiles were hand painted by me. And I believe I counted over 200 individual tiles that I painted. And then up here is, I'm kind of known for my llama work. I've been doing llamas since, I want to say 2016, 2017, maybe. I still do llamas in my art. This one in particular, the sun is gold flake. So yeah, I did that. And then over here, this was based off of a rain barrel that I had painted back in 2019, I want to say. It was for an Earth Day festival in a nearby town. The town put it on, and I put it in there, or I created it, and it was in the festival, which was really cool. It was auctioned off to help the town and their beautification program. So really cool. And I just loved the rain barrel so much. It meant so much to me that I felt like I wanted to paint it and have it for myself on like a smaller scale. So that's also an acrylic. And then over here is what I was showing y'all earlier. Oh, let me get up. So there's my bubblegum blowing llama that I made out of paper mache. And then over here, some acrylic paintings. Weenie Dog is a pug with an ice cream. And he's got a bone sticking out of the ice cream, which is, I thought was funny. And then more llamas. And the center is based off of I want to say based, but it's a print from an original that I had done, a watercolor llama. This went to a follower that I had had on TikTok, a really lovely lady. She was saving money to purchase it, and I was hanging on to it for her. And she wound up having a cancer scare, and she couldn't afford to buy it. and, but she was such, like, a great supporter, and I really loved her. I still love her, and so I sent it to her as a gift of encouragement, and she actually hung it, like, over her bed or at the foot of her bed, and so she could see it every morning and every night when she went to sleep, and last I heard, she was cancer-free. So, yay! And some more here. Little giraffe. This says live colorfully. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's one of my digital pieces that I done. And then some more acrylics. This I cut out of cardboard and glued it together and painted. This is kind of like a self-portrait in a way, like a diorama self-portrait. So that's me in the park, and I had taken a picture and it looked like I'm painting the sky. So I cut that out and made a diorama from it. Like you see the little rain clouds with rainbow colored raindrops, little mushrooms, and then little crystals down here that are like rainbow colored. It can be like puddles or, raindrops. And then, of course, the heart with wings and mountains in the back because I really want to see mountains. I've never seen a mountain, uh, not any big ones in real life, so I'd really love to see some. And here's a sculpture I did out of foam and dowels and cardboard and paper. So that's pretty cool. And here is one of my llama sculptures. This one's not painted. I had planned on making like a mold from it and, like casting them. And I hadn't got around to it because that whole process I'm kind of intimidated by. And then also just kind of not sure about that. But, maybe one day. Then I have my little pony sculpture I did. Here's a llama that I have painted and finished. And she's based off of my llama logo. Then I did a llama in lederhosen. And then I have another bubblegum blowing llama in polymer clay. But yeah, so that's just a little quick little tour of the office of my studio. Maybe next time I'll show you some more, show you some of my art. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Y'all have been wonderful, and it really means a lot to have your support. I just thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend, and happy holidays. And let me figure out how to turn this off because I don't know. All right. All right, I'm leaving for real now. Okay. Take care. Bye. Bye, everyone. Take care.